Now this is my personal time. I love being in your presence, Jesus. Giving you the glory. Giving you the honor. Come on. Giving you the honor. Roll up my hands. Come on, blow up in here. All over the world. Come on. Roll my hands. Roll up my hands. Jesus. We bless your name. Hallelujah. And you know what? This is not my first time praising him right now. I've been blessing God all day long. I didn't wait till I got
I pray that this CD has been a blessing to your life. And all I can say to you in making this CD is that my life will never be the same. Where do we go from here in your presence? How do we continue to live our lives the same? How do we try to explain this experience that we had right here in your presence? Tell me, where do we go from here in your presence? How do we continue to live our lives the same? Tell me, how do we try to explain this experience that we had right here in your presence? All I can say is,
When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no.
It is time for Yes with Yessie. Please welcome your host, Yesenia Leva.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, new season. I hope everyone's having an amazing evening. Good evening. That's right. When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. Yes with Yessie. Yay, yay. When Jesse says yes, nobody can say no. That's how it really, really, really is. Because I'm in control of my skills, my talents, my abilities, my life, and everything that God has for me. I receive it. I receive it. I receive it. So thank you so much for being on the other side with me here tonight on another episode of Yes with Yessie. Good evening, Facebook. I see you guys coming in. I love it. Good evening, YouTube family. Good evening to you. Everyone listening on 89.1. If you're driving home, if you're just getting out of work, I'm sorry. But I'm happy you're going home. I'm happy you're going home. And if you're going to work, enjoy your night. Enjoy your night. But make sure you keep it locked with 89.1 and New Season Gospel FM to accompany you all night long. So good evening. Good evening, Brother James, Jimmy. Good evening to you. Sister Laurel, good evening. Sister Marcia, Sister Joy, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And of course, as always, take a moment to share the broadcast, so that others know that we are on while Facebook circulates, while Facebook does its thing and circulates and lets everyone know that we're here. Do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, New Season Gospel FM, all one word, subscribe, and then share in groups. I know we do groups all the time, guys. So share with the groups, share with family and friends, neighbors, just share it away and help us raise awareness of New Season Gospel FM and all the awesome programs that we have here, because there is something for everyone. And guess what? It's Thursday. It is Thursday. It is pre-Friday. You know, normally people say thank God it's Friday, or, you know, thank God it's the weekend, because that's it. Their work week ends on Friday. I feel like my work week begins on the weekends, but it's still a blessing because I absolutely love doing what I do on the weekends. So yeah, our week continues, guys. Our week definitely continues. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Good evening, Sister Mina. Good evening to you. So yeah, we'll talk about all that fancy stuff a little bit later. But for now, again, thank you so much for being there. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's start with a little bit of energy this evening, shall we? Let's start with a little bit of energy with Nothing is Impossible, because nothing is impossible. Y claro que buenas noches a la gente latina que está allá afuera escuchándonos, que esto es un programa para todos los que hablamos inglés, español, somos universal para todo el mundo. Así que compartan con sus amistades, share and invite your Latin community, everyone, because we are one, right? We're one people, one human race, and that's what it's all about. So nothing is impossible, guys. Go ahead, take a moment to share and invite as we get started tonight.
I can do anything, I can do all things, 'cause it's you who gives me strength. Nothing is impossible through you. Blind eyes are open, strongholds are broken. I am living by faith. Nothing is impossible. Oh, oh, oh. Come on, let's celebrate this morning. Not gonna live by what I imposible. Come on, with your hands like this. Let us celebrate the one, only one God of the impossible. Oh, let's say I believe. I believe, I believe. I believe, I believe in you. I believe, yeah. I believe in you. Creo en ti, Cristo. Creo en ti, Cristo. Through you, I can do anything. I can do all things. 'Cause you give me strength. Nothing is impossible. Through you, blind eyes are open. Souls are broken. I am living by faith. Nothing is impossible. I believe, yeah. I believe in you. I believe in you.
Yes, nothing is impossible. I believe in you. And that's all we have to do is just believe in God, because nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. And I can definitely say I'm living testimony that nothing is impossible as long as we believe. We have an incredible faith in God and an amazing support system to just help you through that thing we call life. Nothing is impossible. Nada es imposible cuando Dios está a nuestro lado y tenemos ese aguante, ese soporte, esa familia, esa comunidad que nos apoye con Dios a nuestro lado. Nada es imposible y no hay nada que podemos no hacer. There's nothing that we cannot do when we have all of that. Good evening, Sister Diane. Good evening, Sister Keisha. Good evening. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you so much. And so, yes, nothing is impossible. Remember that. And so guess what? I'm always very active in the community. You guys already know, if you follow me, I'm very active in the community. And one of my favorite things is advocacy. All right. And that is anytime that we get the opportunity to be a voice. That's right, Jimmy. Nothing is impossible with God our Father. And it's having that opportunity to be that voice for people. Okay. And when you're that voice for people, when you're that voice for a cause, it brings so much satisfaction, so much so much satisfaction to know that you can make a difference, such an impact in someone's life. Even at times, there's times where it's not just that you're making an impact or a difference in a life, but when you go ahead and you have that opportunity to advocate for a cause, for something bigger, whether it's political, whether it's a bill, you have that power to make a change, not only in one life, but in multiple lives. And there is no greater satisfaction than that, than knowing that your voice matters, what you know matters, your knowledge matters, your voice matters, the passion that you have in what you do matters. And so that is really how I live my life, right? It's how I live my life, how I see it as an opportunity that I have experienced so many different situations in my life due to my differences and just due to my challenges that I've lived with, that it's an opportunity for me now to make a difference. It's an opportunity for me to learn everything I have learned and now be able to make a difference and an impact in someone's life, so that they don't have to go through whatever it is that I went through or my family maybe went through, or whatever it is that I'm able to bring light to them and empower them. That's what the advocacy for me is all about, is being that voice. And speaking of, there's my mommy. Hi, mommy. Thank you for coming on all the way from the other side of the world. So that's what it's all about, guys, is being that voice. Es lo que estamos hablando, es siendo esa voz para las personas que quizás no tengan una voz. Y qué honor es poder hacerlo. Qué honor es poder usar tu situación, tus circunstancias, lo que tú has vivido, lo que has aprendido a través de esa experiencia, para ahora poder ayudar a otras personas. Y eso es la razón que yo veo mi vida. No digo mi situación, porque no creo que lo que yo vivo es una situación. Es simplemente lo que Dios me dio, el vivir con una discapacidad, con una diferencia, la cual ahora me permite ser una voz para tantas personas que quizás sin mi voz no tendrán una voz. perhaps if I wasn't their voice, they wouldn't have a voice, right? So in this time that we're living now, we're well, in this time right now, we are in August. We have August, September, October. Now we start getting into Disability Awareness Month, Employment Awareness Month. We start getting into disability advocacy. So come September, October, everybody with a disability is in Tallahassee, knocking on doors, talking to our representatives, and just really advocating for change, and change on a big scale. And so that's not something that should only happen in the month of October or in the surrounding, times because of Disability Awareness Month. That should happen across the board all the time. And so when you guys see me going to these workshops and these trainings and all these different things, it's preparation. It's preparing to know the ins and outs of the current law that is in place for housing, for transportation purposes, for community inclusion, all these things to then bring that back home. And so there lies the question, okay, you bring it back home. What are you going to do with what you brought home, with the knowledge that you brought home, right? And that's kind of the hardest part, because now I bring it back home. I got to start making appointments with my local officials and all these different things. For me, it's a little bit easier because I'm always around. I'm always around the community and those people, to be able to speak to them directly as it pertains to those issues concerning our people with disability. So it's a blessing. I love it. So that's what it's all about, and that's what the upcoming times for myself and others like myself is all about. Good evening, Devondre. How are you? Thank you for joining. And I'm so grateful for you guys tuning in. Devondre and Jimmy, please go ahead and share the broadcast and just let people know that Yes with Yessie is here every week, every Thursday at 6 p.m. after the Caribbean news to talk about issues that affect us all and just to be a voice for our entire community. So you guys can definitely help by spreading the word. I would greatly appreciate that. Greatly appreciate that. And so that's what it's all about, guys. It's about finding the good, finding that good in a tricky situation, or what could be a tricky situation. And a lot of people tend to want to give up. And guess what? We're not giving up. We are not giving up because the goodness of God is with us, right? So we're not giving up. We're here. We're going to keep it moving and continue living and learning and empowering ourselves to then, of course, empower others.
I've been held in your hands from the moment that I wake up until I lay my head. I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life of the goodness of God. The goodness of God. I'll sing it out, I'll sing it out. 'Cause you've been so good to me, oh God. When peace like a river attendeth my ways, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my
That's not fair. That caught me. That got me. That got me. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well. It really is well. You know, whatever God's will is for my life, I'm here. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm breathing. I'm in the presence of God. I'm with you guys. I'm on the radio. You guys are all tuned in. I love you guys. It is well. And so, you know, just in that little moment is so refreshing to have the opportunity to be grateful. It's those little moments that you're able to be grateful, no matter how your day has been, no matter how tired we are, no matter where our mind might have taken us earlier today. And it is awesome to know that it is well. It is well. You know, when you go like this and you pinch yourself, you know, you take your hand and you pinch your skin and you're like, oh, that hurt. It's because we're still alive. It is well. It is well with my soul. I love it. Love it. Love it. Good evening. Good evening once again, everybody that has joined me a little bit later throughout that process. I've seen you guys and I'm here like getting all weird. Good evening, Reverend Crescent. Good evening, Pastor Henry. Thank you so much for joining. Madeline, señora Madeline, que siempre está viajando. Ahí la veo que está conmigo desde Merida City. Where's Merida City? I don't know where Merida City is, but my friend here, Madeline, is always traveling. She doesn't take me with her. Good evening, good evening, good evening. And of course, Devondre, good evening to you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. So, wow, that was great. That was great. So, going back to the advocating and all that good stuff. Good evening, Brother Philip. Thank you for joining. When we're advocating, okay, there's so many different things to advocate for. I mean, I can tell you I've advocated for free and appropriate education, inclusion in education, community inclusion, being able to be included in the community, literally in different events, activities, whatever the case. The right for transportation, the right to be able to drive freely and learn how to drive. Literally everything that I've had to do, mostly everything that I've had to do, has come with advocating and a fight, in a sense, until it becomes a normalcy, until it becomes something that I'm able to accomplish. And then I'm able to say, okay, this is how I accomplished it. Therefore, others can accomplish it as well. So let's normalize this. Right? Let's normalize these things that usually would be so different and so unreachable and all that stuff. So that's what I do with my life, and I gladly do it. So I use that with using the power of my voice, the power of advocating, right? But if you're someone that, I'm going through this situation, I'm going through this issue, you're a mom, you're a dad with a newborn with a disability, you just encountered or, became someone with a disability due to an accident. It could happen at any time in any which way whatsoever, from it doesn't matter. We can be from all walks of life. No one is exempt from it. So when you think to yourself, okay, what does all this mean? Or how can I advocate in a little bigger scale where I'm not only impacting myself, but I'm also bringing about change for everyone else affected by this issue the same way that I am, right? And so one of the things that I've had the opportunity, actually currently as we speak, to advocate for is housing. The state of Florida has little to no options when it comes to affordable housing. Affordable, the term affordable and the numbers within that bracket are not necessarily affordable for a lot of people as it pertains to the income, the income restriction that a lot of people are on or have versus how much it really takes to live somewhere where you feel safe and secure and a longevity, right? On a long-term basis, not on a short-term basis. So different ways to advocate for that. I mean, and this is stuff that I learned not long ago, to be honest, of how accessible it is to actually be able to advocate on these different issues, or on this issue rather of housing in our community throughout the county in which we live. That's something that's it just really depends on the county that you live, where you go and where you go and who you talk to. But the idea of advocating and how you advocate is kind of the same, if you will, as it pertains to housing. So advocating in general, what are different things that we can do as people to best advocate not only for ourselves but for others as well? So the first thing, not a lot of people are a fan of doing this first thing. I personally am, because I'm perfectly okay with like introducing myself to somebody I don't know and just meeting new people all the time. I love to do that. So the first thing would be to attend all public hearings, all public hearings that are scheduled within your community in the planning phase. So whenever there's a big project coming, there's a bill being introduced, there's always that planning phase that if we know the dates and we're aware of the dates and times and locations, we can schedule to attend those public hearings, whether they be federal hearings or state hearings on a local level, and just really grasp what's being said and learn of the different programs that are available within that particular issue. For example, housing has the SHIP, SHIP program, which talks about low-income housing, available programs, funding, and grants available for individuals like myself that might need housing at some point. So that is a program that is available, and a lot of people don't know about it. So things like that we can definitely encounter or learn about when we go to these different public hearing events. Another thing that I find rather when it comes to this though is that the number one group of people that you see the least in this particular environment are people with disabilities. I really can't tell you what the exact reason is, but I can only assume that it's not feeling comfortable attending this. due to maybe potentially a lack of accessibility, or I'm not going to know anybody, whatever it is. I want to encourage people, if you're out there and you have a need, whether it's, again, whatever it is, housing, anything related to your community, and there's these type of groups out there, go to these groups, make yourself seen and heard, and speak up for any accommodations that you need. If you can't get in through the door, you tell them, hey, I need a push button here to be able to open the door, or can you please remove the seat so I can wheel in this area, whatever it is. If you know anyone that is deaf and hard of hearing, and you know that they need interpreters, you got to schedule that at least 48 hours in advance to attend these hearings and these public meetings, which is for everybody and should be and are inclusive to everybody. Make sure that you can help that person make that connection of where they need to call to make these accommodations available so they can attend. But if they don't hear you, they don't know you, it never happened, you're not going to get any change, and nothing is going to get any better. So definitely attend these meetings. Attend all community meetings scheduled during the planning phase. See, I mentioned that earlier by accident on purpose. Attend the community meetings scheduled during the planning phase. Many of the local facilities are in or many of the local community buildings and things like that are used for the community meetings and the public hearings. So definitely make it a point to attend these meetings as it pertains to the citizens and the people that live in that community. So if you live in one city, don't go to the ones in the other city. Go to the meetings that pertain to you, to your community, and to your city, so that you can meet the advocates, the stakeholders, the providers, the realtors, and everybody that is, has a title as a provider or in a provider's perspective that can help make that change. So attend all community meetings scheduled during the planning phase. That way everybody takes notes, and hopefully you meet someone that is like, oh, okay, I'll put that in my agenda. I'll put that issue in my agenda. And then, you create a relationship, strengthen relationships so that you can be a part of the process. And I think that's very important for everyone, right? We need our voices to be heard. So if we're a part of the process, then that tells me that you know the issues at hand that need to be spoken about or addressed before making any final decisions on that particular situation. So again, you have the opportunity in these community meetings for these stakeholders to give input and suggestions on activities to be implemented. And this venue is where strategic plans start to develop. Strategic plans, those are plans that, it's on paper, it's a process, it's a plan. And what happens when we make a plan? We execute. So let's be a part of the planning process so that we can be a part of the execution of the process. Therefore, our voices being heard. Participate in online surveys the local government has developed to solicit input on housing needs or any other particular needs. I sign up for a lot of stuff. I don't like, obviously scam and things that I'm not interested in. If I'm interested in something like all of this information, I'll subscribe, or I'll follow someone that knows someone that knows someone, or someone that knows information where I can receive this information. Like I just recently went to that housing training. Now I have contacts, and now I subscribe where I can receive information and know what's going on. There's a newspaper, an online newspaper called Disability Scoop. I had no idea that existed. But when I found it, or I was introduced to it, now I know. So I subscribe to Disability Scoop, and that lets me know of all the latest news on legislature and just really other community related issues as it pertains to people with disabilities in the community. Subscribe. That's why we ask you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel all the time, so you can stay informed. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, New Season Gospel FM. Thank you very much. So subscribe and stay informed and stay connected to the people that can help you get that information or obtain that information on a consistent basis, whether daily or weekly basis. Provide the local government with statistical data related to disability needs during the planning phase. That is so important. Provide the local government with statistical data related to disability needs during the planning phase. All numbers during this time, all numbers, all percentages, all compelling, accurate data surrounding the intellectual disability community or developmental disability community, autism, whatever it is pertaining to your particular situation. Whatever information you have readily available, send it to them. Send it to them. Send it to your local representatives, and they'll know what to do with it. If not, and you're local in South Florida, call me. I'll let you know who they are. I will definitely let you know who they are and how you can best get them that information. And that way it's helpful to them. It's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. If they don't know, you don't share the information, they can't do anything about it, right? So we can definitely make sure to get this type of information to them. And compiling the data, compiling it just allows for more planning. You compile information, you make a process, and it just makes more opportunity to plan and to execute whatever steps it takes. It's taken to accomplish that particular goal. Provide written comments. Provide written comments on plans when they are published publicly for review. I can't tell you enough about that. Provide written comments on plans when published publicly for review. So there are ways to know right away and get the notification when different processes, procedures, and different things are made public to the community. We can definitely provide feedback right away because there's always that period where, things have to be modified or changed or whatever it is. So definitely it is important that we incorporate those opportunities for public comments during the phase where they call it draft plans, right? So it's a draft plan and then becomes an actual plan. So when it's still in that drafting plan, you can put your input, your comments and things like that. And if those people are good and they work well with the community, your voice will be heard in implementing those changes. So that's definitely important. Monitor program performance. So performance reports are required for consolidating planning of different programs like the SHIP program, SHIP, and the housing department like we talked about earlier. And that's with the local government grantees. The local government is the one that handles all the funding and everything for this particular program to provide funding, grants, etc. for housing needs of low income or individuals with disability. So monitor the program's performances, the annual reports, which gives public, stakeholders, advocates, really an opportunity to hold local government accountable. It's all about accountability. You have all these funds. Where is it going? What are you doing with it? Where we still have a huge need for housing not being met, right? So where's the money going? And that's a whole nother conversation for another day, because if you only knew how much money they are granted, like let's say a housing program is granted, but when they're done doing and paying for everything that they have to pay for, and this budget goes here and this budget goes there and this budget goes there, the amount of money that they have left to actually provide affordable housing is not much. And it's very sad. It's very sad because it's not much. So you wonder, okay, why are we kind of working backwards? That's what it feels like when you sit and you listen to them speaking. It's like, why are we working backwards? Why are we it feels like we're working against the people and not for the people, if that makes sense. So I can go into a whole thing with that. We're not going there. Not today. Good evening, Sister Salma. Thank you for joining. Not today, guys. So yes. And then the final one is coordinate with local and regional advocacy organizations and service providers. Coordinate with them. Coordinate with your local people. I actually had an appointment tomorrow with a local councilman, and unfortunately it got rescheduled for next week. I recently met the gentleman at another event, and he was amazing there. And so I'm like, okay, let's try this. And I got the invitation, we planned it, and I got in there, and unfortunately, like I said, I have to reschedule, but I got in, I got my foot wet, and I got in the door, and now we can go ahead and work on something for that particular city as it pertains to inclusion of individuals with disabilities and the services that they are receiving or not receiving, to make sure something is implemented or something is put in place, right? So it really just takes that one person. It really takes community and communication. It takes showing up, being present, and not allowing our fear of the unknown, our fear of rejection from stopping us in making these connections. That is the worst thing that we can do. The worst thing that we can do. So if nothing else, definitely coordinate with your local and regional advocacy organizations and service providers, because those are individuals that can make the change, the real change, the real change. A lot of times we feel like, oh, well, we have to go very high up. We have to reach the president, of the United States. No. We can't do that. That's not, it's not a feasible way or a smart way of using our time, as much as it can be to contact our local representatives, our local people, our local representatives, those running for those political positions to make change. Now is a perfect time to do that, because again, elections are in November. So all your local councils or commissioners rather that are running, that's who we need to get to start helping us make these changes, because they know the big people. They know the big people. They're in that community, if you will, or in that group of people. So let's get to our local community. Let's get to our commissioners. Let's get to the commissioners running for a position now in November of 2022, and be like, look, here's an issue that has to be addressed in our community. Can you help me? Let me help you, or help me help you. Help the community. That's what I always like to say. And more often than not, once you talk to them, they will be more than willing to welcome you into their office and talk more with you about that issue. And if they can help you, maybe they can refer you to someone who can help you, So it's all about connection. It's all about people. It's all about what we can do together for the better of our community. So I hope that was helpful to someone. Please share the broadcast if you know anyone that you think, hey, here's some tips for advocating for yourself and advocating for something you really want. If you want a change in your surroundings, if you want a change in your community, in the workplace, with your family, really, it doesn't matter. It's the same concept of different little skills that can lead to big change. So it all takes communication and those skills necessary to just be inclusive in the community and get the change that is much needed in your life. You are your own best advocate. You yourself. I am my own best advocate. Nobody knows my needs better than me, and nobody knows your needs better than you. So use your voice that was given to you by God to use it. Use your voice. So I hope and I pray that that was helpful to someone. Definitely share so that we can spread the word and let people know, hey, it is possible. It is possible, right? It is definitely possible, because with God, all things are possible. And I firmly believe that we were left on this earth. If we were left on this earth, it is to make a difference and to impact and to empower. And that's what we are here to do. So don't forget, guys, to please continue to support your number one gospel station, your station, New Season Gospel FM, available to you 24/7, 24 hours, 7 days a week. And we can't do it without your support. So ways to give are rolling on the screen, in the bottom of the screen. And for those of you listening on 89.1, thank you so much for being there wherever you are. And here are ways where you can also support New Season Gospel FM. Thanks for listening to New Season Gospel FM. We are listener-supported radio. If you are blessed by this broadcast, would you prayerfully consider partnering with us? Zelle is 954-536-1821. Cash App, New Season WC, or visit our website, newseasonfm.com. Our address is 4660 North University Drive, Lauderhill, Florida, 33351. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you for giving to the Lord.
Yes, and as always, we definitely appreciate you. We appreciate your support, and we thank you so much for being on the other side with me tonight. Thank you so much, Sister Joy. Thank you for being there tonight. Yes, with Yessie. And of course, we will see you guys again tomorrow morning for Fun Friday. It's Friday, guys. Yes. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m., God willing, for In His Presence. And then, of course, at 8 a.m. on the Pastor Steve Show alongside Pastor Henry on Fun Friday. Never know what's going to happen on a Fun Friday, right? So definitely see you then. Have an amazing weekend. And I am going to leave you with one of my favorite songs of all times, just to keep that energy up and make sure that you guys go into an amazing Friday tomorrow. So with that, God bless, and I will see you guys again next week on another episode of Yes with Yessie.
Este amor tan grande para mi Salvador, Rey de Reyes, Señor de Señor. No hay un Dios que existe mejor. Exaltado, glorificado, en la roca estoy yo parado. Y si el mundo se queda callado, piedra grita, alabado. Al fin donde tú buscaba cuando tenía nada, mi alma estaba tan vacía. Y wow, con mis manos alzados, alabado, glorificado, creo que ganado cuando el diablo me tenía atado. Canta mano con Israel, poderoso mi Dios y es fiel. Hoy, mañana, por siempre Él vive, reina, hermano, amén. Así, así. I love